On another move from the Colorado Rockies, in fact, a trade. One that isn't going to make you say, whoa, oh my gosh, the Colorado Rockies are changing the landscape of baseball. But one where you sit there and you kind of just say, okay.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 17th day of January. Already the 17th day of January here on the Locked On Rockies podcast in the year 2023. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Rockies the Locked On Rockies podcast. But this is on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, you are in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, is talk about the Colorado Rockies each and every single day, and a little less during the offseason for those that want to keep me honest and keep me on my toes. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. We're also streaming live on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can find the live chat where we dive into and talk with the fans every day. So if you want to be like Nicholas Delvo and Eric Harper, you can be just like them. Ask your questions live when we record our episodes. Subscribe to Locked On Rockies so you know when we go live. And it's usually around like 2:30 Mountain Time, pretty consistently. We might have a little mix-up. One thing, and we'll peek behind the curtain today, as it's kind of another slow day in baseball land. But the Rockies made a move. We are going to talk about the Rockies making a trade and kind of the philosophy behind this. And again, I am liking these non-big splash moves. I like the fact that the Rockies seem to be establishing and building a foundation. Now, is it going to pan out to be great players or all-stars or anything like that? No, but it feels better knowing that the Rockies are going into this season appeared to be embracing the prospects they really believe in, but reshuffling the major league talent that they are bringing out and putting out on the field. And there's a couple of examples where I think the Rockies have gotten some good luck. And I think that I mentioned one player, but one we're going to look at some numbers a little bit today too, coming up here in the second segment. I want to talk a little bit about some of the additions that I think I'm pretty pumped on, and think where the Rockies have some absolutely great consistency. But as Eric Harper says, a regular schedule would be amazing. I would love to do a regular schedule too. Unfortunately, the day job doesn't always allow for that, and my schedule changes month to month. But I'm thinking during the regular season, I am contemplating recording the episodes just live after the games, weekdays. And maybe on Thursdays or off days, we'll just do it. We'll just do some similar type of time. It's a later live recording, but it gives you the podcast early, or right away in the morning. So I don't know. For me right now, it just works to do this. Plus, we got the live chat popping in, but I have seen some interesting stuff, and I know I'm not consistent with the times, and I gotta, that's on me. But sometimes, as you all know, real life doesn't always allow for that, but I try to be as consistent as possible, and I do try to at least hit when I have my usual schedule around that 1:30 p.m. But we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll chat a little bit more in depth with the fans and see if you guys would prefer that for a recording time or not. Because I know people in terms of downloads, at least on the numbers that I've seen, for people. It does seem that people do like having the podcast available first thing in the morning, so it's right in their feed, ready to go. But I also like talking to the fans. So that for me, it's kind of a weird mix of both because I like having the live chat because I think it helps me too because I get some more questions and I get more things that I'm looking for. Like one thing that Eric Harper just asked me about Robert Callas. I need to look that up because that's one move I might have missed. But all right, enough of the housekeeping behind the scenes stuff. But it's January 17th. We're chatting along. I feel like we got a really good community building. So I want to just keep that chat ongoing. But let's talk Rockies moves. And the Rockies do make a move. They go out and they make a trade with the Red Sox. They get Connor Siebold from the Red Sox. And we're going to read from Thomas Harding here. Rockies pick up righty Siebold from Red Sox on MLB.com. Looking to bolster their starting rotation competition, the Rockies acquired right-handed pitcher Connor Siebold from the Red Sox for a player to be named or cash today. Siebold, 26, made one start in 2021 and 5 in 22 for the Red Sox, going 0-4 with a 10.55 ERA, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Last season, Siebold dealt with the right forearm extensor strain that forced Boston to rest him and monitor his health. In 19 mostly healthy starts at AAA Worcester, Siebold went 8-2 with a 3.32 ERA. The Red Sox designated Siebold for assignment on Friday. He has the ability to throw strikes, and he's pitched well in the minor leagues, Rockies general manager Bill Schmidt said. He hasn't figured it out the major league level yet. He has solid average stuff. We'll see what happens, but we're trying to improve our depth and create some competition. When healthy, again, we're reading from Thomas Harding here on MLB.com. When healthy, Siebold presents a fastball that clocked in around 95 to 97 miles per hour before the arm issues. He frequently uses a slider, and he has a curveball plus a changeup that is rated his best pitch, particularly when he has his velocity. At the end of the season, Siebold was ranked number 21 on the MLB Pipeline Top 30 Red Sox prospects list. With one remaining minor league option, Siebold will enter competition with a host of Colorado pitchers trying to gain footing in the majors. The Rockies' projected rotation to start the season is veterans Kyle Freeland, German Marquez, and Jose Urena. Austin Gomber will have a chance to regain his place in the rotation after being moved to the bullpen after early struggles last season. And Antonio Senzatella, in the second year of a 5-year contract, is expected to return in May from left knee surgery. That sounds early to me. That's something I will have to maybe dive into because that was a tough knee injury. And if it's May, if Senza is ready in May, that's a big change for the Rockies and things. I didn't have Senza being back into that spot anytime soon. I was thinking like June, July, maybe for Senzatella. But just to finish up here, Siebold joins a group of lesser service time pitchers led by Ryan Feltner, who made 19 starts in his 20 appearances as a rookie last season, 4-9, 5.83 ERA. The Rockies hope Peter Lambert will shed the right elbow issues that have limited him to 2 major league appearances since his rookie season in 2019. Then there is Noah Davis, who was called up from AA Hartford for one appearance at the end of last season. Number 19 prospect Jeff Criswell, who was obtained in a trade with the Athletics in December. And number 22 prospect Ryan Rollison, who hopes to debut in the majors after missing last season because of left shoulder surgery. So lots of options for the Rockies here. But again, this is a move you make. A guy that at the minor league level was 8-2 with a 3.5 ERA, got 4-pitch mix. Absolutely. And all it was a player to be named later or some cash, a deal that isn't going to be too much of a blow. There is no blow, really. I mean, that's the type of deal. It just kind of goes with the pattern of things. Are these players going to be all great? Is Siebold going to turn out to be the next DeGrom? I don't know. Maybe, because anything's possible, but in reality, no. But this is the type of move when you are the Rockies and you're in this position. These are the moves to make. Low risk and potentially high reward. And there's a couple more of there's a couple more moves the Rockies have made that I think are really, really strong moves for the Rockies, especially in this environment. And we'll dive deeper into kind of why I think these moves are right. It's a conversation we've had a lot this offseason, and we're kind of retreading some stuff. But I think it's important to reiterate when these moves pop up of like, oh, why aren't the Rockies out there, landing Greinke yet or something like that? We kind of have to step back and again remind ourselves of where the Rockies are at and where the window truly opens up for the Rockies, especially with the construction that they have. Before we dive into that, though, I want to tell you about some of the folks that make this show possible, and that includes BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can find the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. They got all of your playoff action for football covered. And of course, basketball coming up. I mean, what's coming up real soon? What kicks off the first, the first chunk of the year in terms of sporting events? The big game is one of them, but of course that big bracket that happens in March, another option for you as well, as basketball season is in full swing. If you want to get in on the NBA action as well, betonline.net has you covered. They got sports podcasts. You can find those at BetOnline as well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. You can head to the website today. That's betonline.net. You can use your mobile device to learn more as well about betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. Live chat active as always. So let's take a time here to answer these or talk about the Rockies with the Rockies fans. We'll also dive into more about the Rockies moves here and the two moves that I think the Rockies have made lately, and kind of some more moves that I think are going to be interesting for the Rockies. But a little tickle here, so hold on. It's still at prime time of the year, still cold, still all that stuff where when you're in the talking biz, the throat can get dry. But let's take a look in here. Eric Harper says a post-game pod would be great. Here is hoping. And Nicholas Delvo says, let's hope they can be like the Avs and find some diamonds in the rough. And that's what this team is. That is their philosophy of what they say. They do believe in themselves as a draft and develop team is what they've called themselves, but develop is part of that. And they've had some success of bringing in pitchers, for example, that have needed to bounce back for some seasons. And, it's worked for Daniel Bard. They've been able to, I think Senzatella turned into a pretty darn good reliever next year. My big issue is with bringing in so many new arms is I'm not a big fan of still keeping pitching coach around after how historically bad the Rockies pitching was last year, but maybe it's a fluke and maybe it'll be a little bit better. My friend Mateo there is tuned in. Ciao to you too, Mateo. At Rocks Hot Takes says we're more consistent than the Rockies. I appreciate that. That's right. And then Eric Harper reminds me that Robert Calles is the 17-year-old prospect that the Rockies signed, and apparently big bat in the outfield. Great news for the Rockies. Big bat that can play outfield, and if they turn out to be a great defender, that's a pretty strong blueprint for what you are looking for at the Rockies. The Rockies. I was going to try at the position. I was going to say at the Rockies level. I was combining things, but yeah, good defense, big bat, and can play outfield. That is, you have a good chance of ending up with the Colorado Rockies. Mateo asks, what do you think to randomly involve 1 or 2 followers per episode, inviting them during if I could bring people on, I would try. We did something before, but I might be able to do something like that. I would like to try it. I wouldn't be able to do it every show, but it would definitely be something we can give a try to there, Mateo. I mean, people do. One thing actually might be interesting because some of the other ones do like a voicemail line where you can call in and you leave a voicemail and then I can play those messages. Maybe I can ask in about that. That might be something too. But anyway, back to our topic of today's episode and to tell you the moves that I made, because I think the Rockies trade to get this guy, to get Connor Siebold from the Red Sox, again, not flashy, but something where you're like, okay, like you read the breakdown, and it's doesn't cost the Rockies, it doesn't block a spot for a prospect, it doesn't cost the Rockies a ton. Again, it might not cost the Rockies any players in terms of, maybe you're sending a lottery pick to them as well, and you lose out on that lottery pick of a prospect. Who knows what it'll turn out to be? But again, low risk with the potential of high reward. If he can come out and be decent at the major league level, here's the thing that's a benefit for someone like Siebold. Maybe you aren't consistent enough to start, but you find a solid place in the bullpen for the Rockies. He's not a lefty, but the Rockies now have two options out of the bullpen, or maybe it's Siebold takes this role instead of what Gomber did. Gomber wins his spot back in the rotation. Let's take that hypothetical. Gomber wins his spot back in the rotation. Siebold was pitching well enough and is floated as the Rockies' fifth starter, but they really believe in Lambert and Rolison. So Siebold's kind of floating in there. Maybe he gets optioned, but the Rockies need depth at the bullpen. Maybe that is what, someone like Siebold is where he's going to thrive. So where he's going to be able to go out and benefit this team on a consistent basis, because the Rockies need bullpen depth as well. So I think when you're sitting there and you're Connor Siebold and you're kind of breaking down this move for yourself, I think the opportunity for a player that has shown strengths at the minor league level, when you have over 19 starts, that record, I'll go back here and we'll read from Thomas Harding again here. When Siebold pitched in 19 mostly healthy starts at AAA Worcester, Siebold went 8-2 with a 3.32 ERA. I mean, that's a strong showing at AAA level. This is a guy that, if he can figure out pitching at the major league level, and this is a guy you're going to see a ton of in spring training, I'm sure, this is a one of those moves where I think the Rockies are going to say, we might be able to sit back and say, that was a good, sneaky little move for the Rockies. And they've made two more. And I've talked about one of them a bit, and I don't want to do it because we did a whole pod on it, and you can go back earlier there. The Dinelson Lamet move, and it all centers around bullpen. I mean, the Rockies are addressing the bullpen issues in the right ways, because, again, when you were in the situation with the playoffs, you had to do the super bullpen buy-in and do what you did. You had to take a risk and spend all that money to try to bring in these players to beef up your bullpen. You were winning, you had the competitive team, and the bullpen was one of your big issues. But now, keep bringing in the guys that have the potential, the guys that in 19 starts at AAA while battling an injury, a significant one at that, goes 8-2 with a 3.33 ERA. Keep going and get those guys. Keep going and getting the Dinelson Lamets, who were in the running for a Cy Young, who were impactful during the pandemic season. Go after a beloved favorite like Brent Suter. I think this is an absolutely great move for the Rockies. Low risk, but still a guy that last year on the bump in 66.2 innings for Milwaukee, went 5-3, had a 3.78 ERA, so a sub-4 ERA with 53 strikeouts. High whip at 1.2, and we're getting our stats from Baseball Reference, by the way. If you want to go look up where I'm getting these stats, this is his Baseball Reference page. Not a high WAR, and there's still some metrics that you don't love, but this is a guy that's it's established. It's veteran. It's good enough. The Rockies need people that are good enough. What the issue with the bullpen last year was, we had to question and we had to bring up people that you really don't know, one, if they were MLB ready, or two, really gonna be panning out to being MLB ready. You know how long Brent Suter's been pitching for? He's been pitching with Milwaukee since 2019. He was with Milwaukee, even going back as far as 2017. He's been in the league a while. Siebold has been in the league a little bit. He at least has had time at the major league level, and injuries are the issue. Dinelson Lamet, major leaguer. You're adding major leaguers to the roster in low risk moves, and you can be in, and while you're looking at your farm system improving, smart moves there. Don't overexert yourself now, because the Rockies are kind of like they're like a really, really delicate cake. It's gotta have the precise way for it to be built and formed before it gets put in the oven. It's got to be put in the oven at the right temperature, with the right situation, with the right environment, with the right player, the right hot streaks. And that starts building your cake. And that starts, that starts building to success. And then to finish it off, you have it still is, even to finish the cake, and the cake a metaphor for a successful Rockies season that ends at least in the postseason, and the teams were as good as they were in 2017 and 2018. It still took a lot of factors to get into that, to there. And then you still have to let that cake bake till it's perfect. That's when you can pull it out, display it, and that's when you're going to get to that next step. Because right now, the Rockies have either pulled the cake out too fast and moved too far away, or they've left it in and let it burn, and they've missed their opportunities. So there you go. I kind of made that up on the fly, and I'm honestly a little happy about that, about how that worked out. Because again, the Rockies you have to have the right situation for the Rockies to be successful. But right now, the Rockies are looking at the reality of the situation, building a foundation of a team that can compete enough to be sneaky good to shock some people. But again, the Rockies will surprise the heck out of me if they are in a wild card hunt next year. Do I think they have the potential to be better than last year still, though? Yes. The Rockies, as we talked about in a podcast last week, the Rockies will not be the worst team in baseball. And teams like the trade like this, the moves like going after Brent Suter, and again, Nolan Jones and things like that, all make sense. The Rockies have moved on from players that we've got that have gotten extended looks from the Rockies and weren't really doing a lot, and bringing in new faces that maybe weren't all that successful or blowing people away there. But who knows what a new place can do, and who knows what a year number 2 will do for a player like Randal Grichuk. Let's take a look into the live chat here and take a look at some more of the Rockies' moves this offseason, because again, you might think they haven't done much, but they've been a busy team this offseason. And if you are busy and looking for a delicious treat that you can grab and munch on the go, well, I got the greatest invention for you. It's going to be crazy, right? You've never heard of it before. It is a portable meal bar that you can eat. Mind-blowing, right? Well, I know that might not be crazy, but Built Bar has it figured out, because they cut out the fat, they cut out the calories, and they bring the flavor. They're all covered in 100% real chocolate. Yep, that's right, real chocolate, and they come in flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I don't know the science behind it. I'm not a scientist. I talk about baseball on a podcast, but these bars are like candy bars, but they got wonderful macros. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. You can see all the macros for yourself at Built.com. And, that's used to be where the only place you could get your Built bars was Built.com, which you definitely still can go to and check out, mind you. But now, well, you can head to your local Walmart or Sam's Club, and there you go. You can go get a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate. You can even get the Built Bar Puffs. So if you're heading to Sam's Club, you're heading to Walmart, why don't you go in, get that 13-bar box of your favorite flavors, get that brownie batter, get that churro, and you can thank me later. Pick up a Built Bar today. Oh, all right. Let's dive in here to the live chat one more time. Eric Harper says, I'm an Austin Gomber optimist. I think he'll have a big year. Austin Gomber is a player I would like to see steps forward. Again, doesn't need to be best in baseball, but consistency, in whatever role he ends up taking. Would I like to see Austin Gomber have success in the Rockies rotation? Absolutely. That's good news for the Rockies. Austin Gomber making the rotation and being good for the Rockies in that role is good news. That means the Rockies can use these moves that they've made within the offseason to kind of bolster their bullpen, add to that, and add some more veteran presence there, and give some players some more time to develop and give them a little bit more time than other teams might have been willing to give them. But if Austin Gomber bounces back and has a strong year for the Rockies, great news, and that's going to fix some problems. That addresses the starter depth issue, because a lot of these moves too will give you some more pieces to pull from. The real big question, I think we'll need to dive more into it in a longer look, is what the Rockies will do with Rolison and Lambert, two pitchers that they have definitely wanted to get in on the action but have been unable to do so with the Rockies so far due to injury. At Rock's Hot Take says Seabold also has good projections for 2023. Ooh, I didn't quite see those. Let me see if I can get a quick look at least at the baseball reference ones here for his projections. Seabold projections 3-6 win loss with a 5 ERA, 2 saves, 70 innings, 25 walks to 66 strikeouts, giving up 10 home runs here. Again, not nothing crazy, but might be good enough there. Hope to see a little bit more from it. But again, that's not going to be horrible. And when compared to the Rockies, it's not a move that's necessarily going to be that. And I'm sure there's more projections out there as well than just baseball reference there. Probably factor in some health. I don't know if it factors in Rockies stuff, but it might change as well. Someone to watch in spring training for sure. Mateo says, we need an injection of veterans who are capable to bring us experience and take our kids under their wings. And that's what they have in certain areas for sure. The Rockies do have strong veteran presence on this team. It's just a matter of, depth of contributable veterans and ones that actually are still consistently good. But the Rockies have the Rockies pitchers have two pitchers that have embraced being Colorado arms, that have pitched for the Rockies for a while in Freeland and Marquez. You have Daniel Bard in there now, gonna be the old guy there, but it was I think Renee Deckhart put it. It was in one of her Rockies pitches or one of her email chains. It was Brian and the boys, or Brian's in the Brian and the babies, I think is what she was saying it. I mean, this will be Chris Bryant amongst there, but Charlie Blackmon's still on this team. You have Elias Diaz behind the dish, who's a veteran catcher now for the Rockies. He might, who knows how much what his role is going to be looking like. So there are veterans on this team, but when you're making moves, injecting veterans like your Brent Suitors, that's good type of moves. That makes sense. That's a nice little addition there, and the right type of veteran to be looking for to go after if you are Colorado. Let's take a look at a couple more moves here that we haven't talked about too much. The Rockies did bring back Ty Block. That we'll see what happens and how much he gets into the bullpen there. The Rockies do avoid arbitration with Brendan Rodgers and Austin Gomber. Let's see. I'm trying to think. What else do we got going on here? They did bring in Matt Coca to a minor league contract. They did sign Tyler Kinley in November. They signed Denilson Lamet. They did get that Nolan Jones in the trade. So again, the Rockies, when you look at, I'm looking on a CBS thing. I mean, they have made plenty of moves since the end of the season, and it's something that ain't going to be the ones that are flashy or big things. But Samuel says, not a Rocks fan, but I lived in Boulder for a year and always have a soft spot for Colorado sports team and a fan of the show. Thank you. for tuning in. And hey, you know what? I appreciate you always checking out your favorite Locked On shows, and we appreciate being one of them. Eric, I am with you on this comment here, and this will be where we'll close today. The Rogers news was a little disappointing. I was hoping the Rockies were going to extend. I really was. I think Rockies fans now need to keep in the back of their mind the Rogers trade. I think a Rogers trade, I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not saying it's for sure. I'm just saying the door is open, and why the Rockies were so quick to sign other people and not Brendan Rodgers makes me worried. Maybe they're a little hesitant because of the fact that they were willing to commit to so many people so fast and extending so many people in the last two off seasons. But I really was hoping that the Rockies were going to come out and say, hey, 3-year deal, 3-year extension. Maybe Rodgers thinks that by the time he's free agent eligible, it's still going to be hot. He can go and do these crazy things. He'll continue to be on his pace like I think he's going to. Makes me worried about a Rodgers trade. I really don't. I mean, again, he's the best trade piece the Rockies have for sure at the major league level. But man, oh man, he's the type of guy you just watch him play. I'm not trying to, it's not one for one, but it's when you watched Nolan, you watched Story, you watched DJ, you watched Cargo, you watched some of these guys, and you know that they just have it. And I just think Brendan Rodgers has it. I think he really can be an elite level baseball player. Again, I'm not trying to say that he's going to be right there, but to do what he did last year, and plus just the story of Rodgers to this point of being a highly regarded prospect and such. So the type of guy that I think has that has real big potential for this season, and so I was hoping for an extension too. But I'm not trying to say it's immediately going to happen, but it is something that does make you wonder. And you do question about that. But, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Great live chat, as always. Shout-outs to all of you for tuning in there. Everyone. I mean, we got everyone tuning in. So thank you to all of you for tuning into the show. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. You can also find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. That's where you can be part of the live chat. That's where you can dive in, ask your questions, give us your comments, join in with all sorts of Rockies fans. You can find us also wherever you get your podcasts. Find us free and streaming there. You can stay up to date with all things Colorado sports with the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, and Locked On Nuggets podcasts, all available also on your favorite streaming service. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter at LO Rockies. Follow me at Paul Holden 33. And folks, the biggest way you can help this show, subscribing to the channel, looking out for your friends and saying, hey, make sure that you're tuning into Locked On Rockies, hitting that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and leaving those reviews and ratings on streaming services. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.